trade paperbacks, lock into the
I am joined by the amazing Allison O'Toole, Dan Price, Andre Owen, Fred Kennedy, Chip Zdarsky. Chip, thanks for coming.
Oh, what's up, folks? I'm your host, Konrad, on Wednesday Night Reviews, and tonight we will soon be joined by Adriano of Pesto Comics. We seem to have a small bit of technical difficulties, but Adriano is back. Adriano, welcome to the stream.
Thank you. Yeah, of course, as soon as we go live, I have a technical issue, but here I am. I made it.
Awesome. Hey, I'm glad to hear it. We're happy to have you on. Obviously, we're here to talk about your newest Kickstarter, which is Crazy Latte Thing Called Love. But just to start with, Adriano, for the folks at home who've maybe never seen your face, never heard your name, who is Adriano?
Yeah, so my name's Adriano. I write indie comics. So this is my third one. I do it under the name Pesto Comics, just something kind of memorable for people. But yeah, this is the third one. I've worked with artists from all over the world. In this case, it's Mattia Monaco, an Italian artist. But I've worked with folks from Brazil, from Argentina, from all over the place. And yeah, just getting my stories drawn in the best way possible, because I'm not much of an artist myself, but I do think I got some stories to tell. So. Yeah,
I love it. And as mentioned in this case, it is Crazy Latte Thing Called Love. I'm actually going to bring up the front page of the campaign here. And can you tell the folks just a little bit about it?
Yeah, so this is it's a story of love at first sight, is what I like to call it. And here's my cat Oliver. Hi. Of course, he found his way up here. So, the story of love at first sight. You know, it's Liam. He is our main character. He wakes up one morning, his coffee machine's broken, so he goes to a cafe he's never been to before, and you can see our title character here, Ruby. He sees her and immediately falls in love and doesn't know what to do with himself. Not knowing that she's a bit of trouble herself, so he doesn't know how much trouble he's getting himself into, and kind of follow that story along. So it's a one-shot story, beginning to end. There's no cliffhangers here. It's you won't know how it ends, but you'll be able to find out, because you're getting the whole story all in one crack again. I've been writing a lot of one-shot stories myself, with the comics, but yeah, this one I felt like it really needed to be beginning to end. So that's what we're getting here.
Awesome. I love it. And you reached out to me a little earlier in the week there, because while I was at TCAF in Toronto, so were you. So I do always like to support. So Adriano, as specific as you would like to be, I'm happy with a province, a state. I'm happy with a city, whatever you want to go with. Adriano, where are you located?
Yeah, I'm in Etobicoke, so just outside of Toronto, or Toronto, depending on who you ask. But yeah,
yeah,
I'm in Etobicoke.
I love it. You gotta love when we can support Canadian indie creators.
For sure.
So, I guess just to start with, like you said, that it's a book essentially about love at first sight. Of course, the lady in this case is a bit of a odd entity from a conversation she has early on in her in the book, I'll say, within the first couple pages. One of the things that sort of I wanted to ask you about, especially with this book, with your previous book, which I did a review of for you, and I believe the first one, maybe it was the second, and I just wasn't in the loop there. But between the last one and this one, you seem to like to take what looks like a mundane thing, and then, of course, apply some comic book pizzazz to it. What draws you to these seemingly mundane stories?
Well, yeah, it's usually that's what sparks it, right? I'm sitting in traffic, I'm doing something strange, or not strange, rather something boring, and I try to turn it into something strange, thinking, what if this happened? What if that happened? So this story actually comes from kind of an embarrassing story earlier in my in my life, where I used to work at a grocery store in Brampton, and before I met my wife, met a girl at the coffee shop, and I don't take it nearly as far as Liam does in here. Of course, it's very much exaggerated, but I thought, what if I took that small infatuation and really blew it up and chased it all the way through. What would that look like, knowing who I was and not knowing much about this girl other than, thought she was cute. She worked at a coffee shop. So it just, yeah, went from there and saw that story through. So created the whole, the background for Ruby and what she's up to, and what if that's kind of a worst case scenario situation as well, right?
Yes,
So yeah,
exactly. Uh, so one of the things that the people out there, simply by hopping on a Kickstarter and going to or searching up Crazy Latte things called love, I know if they go to your Instagram at Pesto Comics, it's like one of the first links. They will have access to the first couple pages, which show, I guess, the main character. I don't know if I want to call him
that's
the
right.
protagonist of the story, but and sort of, as you described, his morning routine. The coffee's broken, his machine's broken, so he goes and he so eloquently is shown falling in love here. When it comes to the style, so the last comic you drew, or not drew, but you wrote, um, had an extremely dynamic art style. The way that you drew expressions, then the angles you or your artists, this I guess where the question lies, came up with for showing certain things, like the cover of it, where you've got a guy and you're almost looking up like up his nose, but his mouth is like, and you're seeing all of that.
Yeah.
So you have a knack for these really exaggerated looks, and as we can see here, like we've got the super zoomed in look on his face, and then what should be a beautiful scene, and she's just not having it. What draws you to that comedic, exaggerated style, and where does that inspiration come from?
Yeah, in this case, it was so Mattia, the artist Mattia Monaco. The artist, he actually did a book I was really into. So Aftershock had a book called Chicken Devil. There was a
Oh,
follow up, Chicken Devils. Mattia worked on that, and I was a huge fan of the style, which is very similar to what you see here, right? Like it takes the like you said, those mundane settings and places, like it's just a cafe, and he makes it look kind of fantastical. So I knew what he was capable of and kind of where he was going. So yeah, I knew he was a great fit for this. A lot, and even that frame where she shows up, I didn't give him too much description as to how that would play out. Just he walks in kind of sullen, and his day's already going wrong, and then he sees her, and like she's, it's like a scene out of a movie. Like she's all he
yeah,
can see, and then that's what he came up with. It really like it was one of those situations very similar to last time with Raphael, but like the pages come in and I just say, you know what, no notes. I love it. Just keep doing what you're doing, right? So yeah, it's really just a matter of the story fitting the artist. I think I wrote this story with Mattia in mind.
oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and he delivered, like, and it gets better as it goes on. Like this is just the first 3 pages, but he some of the stuff that happens later on isn't as grounded without
Okay,
getting
okay.
into spoilers. So
Yeah,
yeah,
avoid
he really gets
spoilers.
to go wild. Yeah, he really gets to go wild and like fully delivers with it. It's very exciting what he was able to do here. So
That is
can't
so
wait for people to
cool.
see it. Yeah.
Absolutely. What I will say, and again, no spoilers, because you sent me the first 12 pages as opposed to the first 3 or 4 that are on here. Um, with what I have seen, the way that expressions are drawn, including body language, and just the way that things play out, I absolutely love it. So, like you said, you've given the artist quite a bit of control here when it comes to what the pages ultimately look like. Was there anything that you stressed to make sure you got sort of a comedic effect across, or a certain um, Adriano style in there?
Yeah. So I generally try to really make the point of like what the emotion of each page is, right? Like that's what I really try to get across more than anything. Is
Right
like
on.
this is what everyone's feeling in the situation. So you pointed out, like, Ruby in that frame at the bottom there isn't into things, right? And that was by
Just
design. Yeah, like she's at work at a job she hates, and and it shows, right? So that's really the the key thing to get across. And again, Mattia just kind of takes that and runs with it and does all kinds of really cool and crazy things. But that's really my focus. I don't give too much direction, like in terms of framing or anything like that, unless there's really a specific vision I have or something really
Mm.
really key I'd like to see out of a frame. But generally I just say, look, this is the emotion I'm going for, this is kind of what's happening, show me what you think I mean by that. Right? So yeah, I gotta credit the artist for getting a lot of it done, better than I could imagine almost every time.
I dig that. So then I guess I have to ask, um, given the creative sort of freedom you've given them, like you said, you give a direction of get this motion across. This is what has to happen on the panel, and then go. Um, you mentioned earlier you wrote this with him in mind. So,
Mhm.
what was your previous experience with him like, and what was your sort of creative process with him up to the point of, hey, here's my script. Can you send me back a page?
Yeah, so I worked with Mattia. He did one of the variant covers on the last project on Stay Cool, right? So I knew again, like I could work with him. He's that we didn't have to communicate too much to get something really cool across. So actually, his cover was what was used as the teaser image most of the time, just because it was really drawing
Oh,
some eyeballs. So yeah, so I knew I could work with him in that sense. Again, without having to really guide or really give them too much. Just, hey, this is what I'm kind of thinking. What do you picture? Um, and with this, I mean, it was once he once he got a handle on the script, and I did send some references. I sent some photo references for the characters and saying,
okay.
something like this is what I'm picturing. Yeah, that's the cover right there. Right. So, and that was just like, dude bursting in the flames running towards this kind of thing, and that's what he came up with, which was amazing. Everything in the background, all that is all him. But yeah, in terms
Cool.
of this in terms of this book, yeah, I gave him some character references, just photos from, like, what I could find online saying, I like this, I like that, this feeling even. So like Liam is a combination of a bunch of pictures, a bunch of different people, and he created someone whole cloth out of just a bunch of pictures. Um, yeah, and then all the settings and all that, I mean, is all him. I didn't give him any sense of what things should look like or anything like that. Just the characters, and even then, it was rough guides of, I like this idea. I want him to be kind of like this, right? And then yeah, I just ran with it.
Hmm,
So yeah, yeah, all the
interesting.
credit to the artist. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where, um, because comics is a very visual medium, um, clearly you are working with some fantastic artists because the angles that are being used to show everything, like even sort of the ever so slightly personal and personal space invading angle of this panel where we're seeing everything on top of the counter. Um, it is quite cinematic and like awkward and I guess alienating almost. Um,
Yeah.
so for him to be able to produce that with what seems like relatively little feedback on your end is awesome, and I'm glad you're working so well with him. I also wanted to absolutely comment and compliment on your writing. So the way that these characters navigate their day, and in Liam's case here, how sort of it almost reminds me of manga, like how over the top he is with his thoughts when he's talking about sort of his day, and then specifically this. Um, it was an interesting interplay in what we're getting because it's not manga, right? Like it's a comic book.
Mhm.
And I just really appreciated that. So when it comes to like your writing, what informed wanting to make this story in this way? Like, was there a specific book you read or a movie you saw or a show or whatever that you liked the approach of?
Yeah. Yeah. So with this story, it's more, like my comic influences are uh, kind of all over the place. So I can't point to just one thing in terms of how the pacing and all that is laid out in the comic, but for this story in particular, and the vibe I was going for was kind of like again, without spoiling too much, kind of an anti-hero vibe, right?
Okay,
So
yeah.
So like a show like You or Dexter or any of those where you don't want to be cheering for this guy. They're doing some less than moral things, but but you can't help yourself, right? Like you want them to
Yeah.
succeed, even though what they're succeeding at probably isn't a good thing. Um, that's really what I wanted to go for, and the vibe I really wanted to capture here. Um, and again, it's a visual medium, so I didn't want to really go too deep into just miles and miles of captions and all that. Like I just want to kind of
Hmm.
make the point and move on and make the story flow, in a way that's an enjoyable read while still really getting that emotion through.
Hell yeah, I love it. Um, as I mentioned, I like this a lot. I like your style. I really dig Stay Cool. Um, so we're at the perfect time now. So I want to bring up one. Kudos on the so far 814 out of 1,000 Canadian dollars. That
Yeah.
is 81% of the way done. That is amazing. And it is a 30-day campaign, right? I think 5 days ago. No, it's like
No,
yesterday.
it launched this morning actually. So we're in the 11th
Woo!
hour. Yeah. The
Oh my
11th hour
God.
literally, not the end.
Yeah, I was to say, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a record for me in terms of how well this is done, right? Like
Love it.
we've doubled what I made on the first day the last go around. So, so yeah, this is going great. I'm very happy. And actually, just before we came on, I got that Project We Love badge, which again, amazing. Very happy to see that pop up.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So, so things are
Oh
going
my
very well.
God.
Very happy with how it's turning out, and yeah, I gotta thank all the artists involved again. They draw the people in, and they really. I don't think anybody's reading these stories if they don't get drawn in by the art. So I got to give them all the credit for sure.
I dig that. That is awesome. Congratulations to yourself, to the whole team, frankly, because I know a lot goes into this. Um, and that's fantastic. Well, with any luck, uh, perhaps before the end of today, uh, that can be filled up for you. I'm just going to refresh because I'm always curious. Uh, now, the part I actually want to ask about, the real question here is, for those out there who've maybe never done a Kickstarter, have no experience with it, and don't know what to expect. One of the questions that I've been asked, even through people who just aren't familiar, is, you know, what happens if I don't get it? How long do I have to wait? All this kind of stuff. Now, I will, in confidence, without showing it, say that what you sent me, the first 12 pages, at the time you sent me them, I think the first five were completely done, it looked like. And then
Mhm.
the next seven, I think it was
Yep.
seven total, were all basically blocked out and need to be filled in. Um,
Mhm.
so currently, what state is the book in?
Yeah. So we have the first four pages completely done, right? And then every page has been inked. So I have every
Oh,
page black and white ready to go. So just the colors waiting now. And yeah, those should be done, I imagine, before the end of the campaign. So yeah, we should be in good shape to get people the book very soon. Probably not right away, but right away after the campaign, but very soon after. It depends on printing. But yeah, like we're in really good
mm,
shape to have this done, ASAP.
that is fantastic. The fact that you've already got the inking done, huge. Then you know what? Let's do the fun part. For the folks who want to back it, can you walk us through? If you want to do all of them, do all of them. It don't bother
Sure.
me none. But what is like at least the minimum someone can do to get the comic, and then what's like your crazy big, whatever final tier?
Yeah. Okay. So the easiest one, that's the lowest barrier to entry, is just get a digital copy. Right. That's $8 Canadian. So what is that, like $5 American? Right. That's your standard Kickstarter comic price. Right. But you're getting 32 pages fully covered,
Ooh.
colored and all that. So it's great. And then I'm pretty meticulous about how you get it, so I give it to you in every format. PDF, CBZ, whatever, and
Oh wow.
on yeah, I'll give it to you on Google Dropbox, however you want it. You're getting the comic. if you don't know me and you just found out who I am now, and you want to catch up and read all that other stuff, the next one is the digital Pesto package, I call it. That gives you all 3 comics that we've worked on. Right? So same thing. I'll go nuts. I'll give you every kind of version I can. And then we get into the main tiers. So if you want a copy of the comic in your hands, so something I've done new this time is shipping's free worldwide. Wherever you're from, that's the price. Right? I'm not going to charge you extra. I'm not going to charge you after the campaign. That's what you pay, and then you'll get a comic mailed to you. We'll figure it out. Yeah, I had a really good time with shipping on the last one. Found a great service over here, Stallion Express. So I'll give them a shout out because they're honestly great. If you're planning on doing a Kickstarter and you're in Canada, they're wonderful. Yeah, so they provide great shipping rates. So I was able to just throw it in with these comics. So yeah, so multiple. Yeah, so there's multiple tiers to support in that sense. So you can get the main cover. We have another cover by Mattia called the Bauble variant. And then I got two homage variants. Yeah, the Bauble variant, they went out of order, but that's all right. And so the next one is our homage variant. I call it the Frankly My Dear variant. So if you're familiar with Gone with the Wind in that cover. Yeah, so Roberto Villacava, a fellow local, he did this cover. Yeah, and it's been actually, it's a competition between this cover and the next one I'll mention that are doing really well. So another homage cover for Army of Darkness. So it's called the Groovy variant. Yeah. So Will Robson did this one. Yeah, that's right. He had a campaign that just ended today as well. So he's doing really well. And he was our first backer, is what I should say. So right at I hit the button, and so did he. He immediately picked up his copy. So that was great to see. He was all over it.
Amazing.
So aside from saving shipping on all of these, right? Like you order it, it's getting sent to you. That's the price. You're good. If you want to save even more money, then we start talking bundles. So you can get multiple comics, again, all in price, right? So if you want to get everything that Mattia and I have worked on together, right, $35. You're saving about $45 when you count all the shipping and everything. And I send you 3 comics. I'll send you both of his covers of this project and a previous comic together, and digital copies of all of it. So you're getting everything we've worked on in multiples.
That's cool.
Yeah. Right. And then there's more bundles just like that. So again, it's similar to the digital. If you don't know me and what I've worked on, I'll send you everything we've worked on, and $40 all in, right, coming to your door. And if you want all the covers we offer, that's $60, right? You'll get 4 different covers, and I don't want to reveal anything. I don't want to reveal too much, but 4 might not be the most that you get if you go from this level and up. There may be something coming later with another very popular artist. So if you're interested in getting even more for your money, right? Not a bad idea. And if you want absolutely everything, I'll send you a giant box of every cover, everything. That's this package here, right? So you get everything digital, and it's coming in a box because I'm sending you everything, right? Yeah, and then we get into the more interesting ones. So we've been talking about, folks who want to make their own comics. I can help you. I'll send you a comic so you can read, so you can read what I've done if you're curious and you want to make sure that I know what I'm doing. But I'll letter your comic. If you don't want it lettered, you can maybe want me to help you write it because you haven't even got to that stage yet. I'll help you write your comic. Or if you want all of it, I'll do all of it for you as well. So that's these are the higher tiers because there is a bit of commitment, of course. And when I say I'll write it, I don't need to take credit of anything. It's yours. I'll ghostwrite it. I'll help you get it all together, and then you put it out with your name, and you can tell the story how you came up with everything. And I don't mind. I'll help, and I'll hide in the shadows. Unless you want my help selling it, use my name. That's cool too. Whatever your choice is, I'll figure it out. But yeah, so a lot of packages here for folks that are not sure how to take the next step and want some help. I'm more than happy to help them and send them some of our stuff on the way. Right?
That's really cool too. I always like one of the coolest things, and anyone who's watched my show multiple times will probably be like, "Oh my God, Konrad, stop!" But one of the things that I like about the indie comics community the most is, whether it's Kickstarter or a different platform. Usually, I find people put out some really cool, high end, definitely high end. Like this one's $1,000, but cool stuff. Like for the $1,000, basically you will, like you said, write and letter up to 40 pages of comics. Doing 3 revisions, do a virtual meeting or in the Toronto area. Fantastic. 500 bucks, you are at their service, help you write your comic, and then 400 bucks, you'll letter the comic. Like, that's awesome. I think it's interesting because in a lot of creative communities, the creators are extremely closed off. They don't want to share. They're hiding how they do their stuff. And in comics, I find it's like, here's how I do everything. You want to see my whole process? Come watch me on a live stream, and I'll show you the whole thing.
Yep.
And I love that the community like yourself is putting that out there. So again, if you are out there and you want to write a comic, but you're not sure what to do, maybe got an idea, but you're struggling with pen to page, Adriano's here for you. And if you go real crazy, you can single-handedly back the whole book. And then we'll be into bonus tiers.
Oh yeah.
But yes, again, like you said, if someone wants the book, 8 Canadian, which is like $550-ish US, 32-page comic, full deal. I love it. Now, Adriano, I guess to get into some of the fun questions, because of the characters that you write are wild and wacky without appearing wacky on the surface, I guess what I wanted to ask was, so far of all the characters you've come up with, I suppose in total, because you've done 3 books now, but also in this book, who are your favorite characters? And do you think those 2 characters will get along? Maybe not like fall in love or anything, but at least be able to get along.
That's an interesting one. I wonder. I mean, I want to talk about this book, but I think in terms of characters getting along, it'd be the main characters of my first 2 that would probably. I feel like they were kind of 2 sides of the same coin kind of thing. Very like get after it, go get them kind of like strong female characters. Where here, again, I went kind of more anti-hero, more and it's true with almost every character in this book. I mean, there's nobody that's a purely good person to put it kindly, right? So yeah, there's I feel like folks from this book probably wouldn't get along with anyone because they're all kind of pushing their own motives at every time, where maybe the first 2 books they would have those characters would get along because at least they could find some common ground and kind of drive together. Here, I don't think anyone, even within their own book, has any common ground. So yeah, I don't know if they're getting along at all.
I love that answer because, one, if anyone is curious about the book, now they can be like, well, what kind of craziness are these characters going to get into? Especially given Liam has fallen in love with Ruby like that, love at first sight, puff of very disinterested pink smoke everywhere. And again, I think it speaks to your creative ability in the way that you write. And what I find interesting about you is you're writing, I guess, slice of life, but with that sort of crazy twist. What to ask? Well, I guess you know what. Along the way, when you're making the book, one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite prose writers, I'll say, R.A. Salvatore, who writes fiction and has for a long time now, he has been quoted as saying, when he finally sits down to write and he starts writing, he'll start somewhere, but eventually he'll start giggling because it's like the characters are talking to him saying, hey, this is what we did, here's how we did it, and it's not him creating, it's just him going. For you, what is the creative process like with creating specifically Crazy Latte thing called Love?
Yeah, so my process starts very uncreatively. I do everything in a spreadsheet.
Okay, now I'm interested. What?
So I like to make sure I have the structure down pretty well, especially when it comes to comics, because you even have to think about the page turn and all that business, right? So I really like
Yeah,
to make
okay.
sure, right, things flow. And maybe that's the film school kid in me that, worries about, like, you don't want to be there on the day, making sure that things kind of come together, right? So I start
Yeah.
that from the hop. Like, while I'm doing my outline, I'm
Ah.
outlining in a spreadsheet, which I've shared it on my newsletter. If you're really curious on what that means and what that looks like, I mean, I haven't hidden how plays out, but I have all my beats laid out. I kind of know,
Huh.
okay, I may not even know the characters at that point, but I know I want the plot to kind of go this way, and then I'm able to, okay, well, who would drive who would drive him to do this? Who would drive him to do that? And always trying to, every page, cause a little more trouble, right? You don't want your character kind of in stasis, or even having things go well for them. So how do you make sure that happens? You make sure you have a real good skeleton behind what you're writing.
Huh.
Yeah. So once I have the outline and I know I can hit the notes I want to hit, then that's when I start to freewheel and let then the characters talk to me, kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not until I know that they're gonna get where I want them to be. Right?
Interesting.
Yeah. So how they get there and what happens and the conversations and all that changes multiple times, like through drafts and all that. But I always want to make sure that at least they're doing it in the way that keeps the story flowing and keeps, I want to make sure that people read this and then that they don't get, even though it's only 32 pages, I don't want people to get halfway through and say, wow, no, I'm not interested. Right? Like, I want them to flip the page, like, having to know what comes next, right? So, and the way to do that is just to make sure that you're hitting your notes every page, right? So a
Yeah.
spreadsheet is the best way for me to do that. It's weird, it's kind of uncreative of me, but but it does the trick. It's worked so far, and yeah, I don't think I'm gonna change
Don't.
that.
Unless you test something and get really good feedback on it, don't. And the reason I say that is, it's so far in the interview we've talked a lot about the art of this book because it's really good. The art in this is fantastic. The angles, the expressions, the colors that give it that unique style and will instantly let people just pick it up and go, "This is cool." Have been great. But what I want to stress to the people that they're watching, whether they're watching now or within the next 25 days, if they pick it up on YouTube, is the version of this book that I got. The first 4 pages, so the page after this was done, and
Mhm.
then I got just like pencil outlines and
Yeah.
bubbles. Purely on the script and some rough ideas of art, I was like, boom, 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 boom. I got through that 12 pages and it was like, this is cool. Again, no spoilers. The people out there will have to read this and support it. Again, $8, go get it. You ship it anywhere, which is wild to me. Well, $8 for digital.
Yeah.
So the fact that it carries itself so well purely on writing and, like I said, outlines of ideas of drawings, this will be a very interesting book. Now, Adriano, I'm a little angry at you now, I think, because Stay Cool is a one shot. Do forgive me if I'm wrong. Ultima as well, I believe, is a one shot, and that was
Yeah, Unlimited Udo. That's the.
thank you, Unlimited Udo.
Yeah.
And now this is a one shot. Again, 32
Yeah.
pages for this one. You write really well. Clearly, your fans think so because your first 2 books backed. One of them backed to 250%. This
Mhm.
one in 11 hours, literally, is at 80% of its backing. So I don't imagine you're going to have issues. Again, knock on wood. Um, what is it about the single issue format, the one shot, that you like? And let me preface that with having understood a little bit about creative writing, where constraints can be very good creatively because it forces you to play within some rules, and so
Hmm.
you could just go. Is that the main thing that draws you in, or what's going on there?
Yeah, I really like shorter fiction. I say this
Okay.
with something else I might share after, but 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 I enjoy the shorter I enjoy the shorter stories, like short stories in general. I enjoy, like, I subscribe to all kinds of short story magazines. Like,
Oh,
it's kind
cool.
of a problem. Uh,
No, it's
yeah,
not. No.
right. So novellas, all that kind of thing. Like when I'm reading, I want to be able to really get the story kind of all at once without going too far left, right, all over the place. So I do like the idea of having a beginning, middle, and end kind of all in one sitting. Um,
Huh.
yeah. So I've always kind of enjoyed that. That was one half. The other half is, again, this is my third project, so I haven't had a ton out there. So I really wanted people to get a sense of my style and who I am, and what I'm capable of before I get them to commit to anything longer, right? Because at least now you see I
Ah.
can tell a story that has an ending, right? And yeah, so it looks like people like it. Again, I like that Project We Love badge there. That was a nice surprise
Oh,
right before I signed on. So, oh, and we got some more money too.
you
Nice.
did. Yay.
Whoever whoever's backing, I really appreciate it. That's really
Yeah,
cool of you.
thank you.
Yeah, so 50 backers. That's a record. I think the first one was 40 on the first day, and we're not even 12 hours in, so this is great. Oh wow.
Ooh. Um, that is fantastic. Now, one thing I have to ask, another guest I've had on, who is all about, and this is going to make him sound maybe a little mean or callous. He's all about the business of comics. His name
Hmm.
is Anthony Stokes. He's written a number of really great books that are all focused on sort of mental health,
Hmm.
and sort of stories that are like themed around, be careful what you wish for. Um, when he talks about comics and being successful, because I find him to be quite successful, and he does like a Kickstarter every other month almost.
Hmm.
Um, one of the things that he talks about was when tabling, he's like, I want to have a bunch of stuff out so that people can see, I'm not just some rando guy. Like, this is what I do. You now
Hmm.
have, well, you will have 3 books. Again, all confidence in your ability to get another couple of backers to finish this up for you. Um, Given that I didn't see you at TCAF, although I know you were there,
Yeah,
next time, feel free to just
I
shout
saw
at
you
me in
from
public. It's fine.
across the
Oh,
library
okay.
there, but I couldn't catch it.
uh, are you intending to actually table at any of the local cons? I'll say within the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got a
Oh,
list of places I'm going. Yeah,
oh,
so
a list.
so I'll be in Niagara Falls at Niagara Falls Comic Con. Yeah, so
That's like a
I'm on the
month, right?
short. Yeah, that's in a month. Less than a month now. Yeah, so very soon. So that's where you can find me. This book won't make it there, but I'm thinking of ways to uh, reward folks who see me in person, and maybe we could work something out with the Kickstarter and all that together. So yeah, so I'll be in Niagara. I applied for a table in Hamilton, which is
Oh,
run by the same group. They are moving venues, so everyone is on a wait list. I've talked to some folks who are also going, and everyone's waitlisted right now. So I'm not taking it personally, but I'm on the wait list. The table
if
there.
if it helps,
Hmm.
I've reached out to panel at Comic Con in Toronto, or not Toronto, sorry, Niagara Falls and Hamilton. I have yet to hear back too.
Awesome. Good to know. Well, yeah, hopefully I'll see you there. And then where else am I going? VonCon. So I'll be at VonCon in August. Um,
Oh, right on.
yeah, and then oh, and then the big one. So I say big one. It's big because it's going to cost me more than anything. I'm going to Thought Bubble in the UK. So yeah, I got a table there.
Oh
So
my god.
yeah, we'll figure out the whole. So Brexit has made it a challenge to get your business visa and all that, so I may just be there shaking hands and giving out freebies or whatever. But yeah, but I'll be tabling with something, so I might not be able to legally do any transactions. But
You know
I will
what?
be there. Yeah.
That's congratulations. That's incredible.
Thanks.
Also, I am gonna put you in touch with some people who have done international stuff, so they may be able to
Sweet. Yeah.
give you some advice.
Any advice? I'm open to it because I went in head first and I got the table, and then I started to look into it. So
I mean,
yeah.
I have to say that speaks to your ability, because an international festival went, yeah, we want this guy.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I was thrilled. I was thrilled to see I got accepted to that. So, and you know, I made a lot of cool friends online and that are from there. So it'll be nice to meet some people in person, and right, like I won't be a total lost stranger Canadian person there.
I mean,
I'll be able to. Yeah.
we Canadians do pretty darn good abroad, lost. But yeah, if you got some folks that can maybe help you out with some local goodness, that's fantastic to hear.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
So yeah, so it should be good. I think. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so I'll
And-
be around, and yeah.
Question. I guess I could have googled this one, but give me a second. So theoretically, one, people, like you said, will be able to see you at Niagara Falls Comic Con. Are you there all 3 days?
Yes.
Okay, so June 9th. Actually, I'll just bring it up on the screen, I guess. June 9th, 7th through 9th, Niagara Falls Comic Con, obviously, which is at the Niagara Falls Convention Center. People can go see you. Funny little quinkadink. That is 22 days, say 23 days. Let's round up. Crazy Latte Things Called Love is going to last another 25. So there's hypothetically on the Friday and Saturday, someone could come by, talk to you, scan a QR code or go online,
Mhm.
whatever, from your phone, and back this amazing book, and then have it, say, 2 months later to be safe.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. And do you also have print copies of Stay Cool and your other book?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll have copies of all of that available at the table. So yeah, so we're well prepared for this, I think. Yeah, and again, I'm thinking up some things I could do to make it, you know, a little special to maybe back the campaign if you come and shake my hand, and we'll figure something out to to make that worthwhile for you. Yeah, so you're not walking out
dig it.
totally empty-handed. Yeah.
That is fantastic. Now, one thing I'm curious about, and this is happening a lot in the comics community, and I imagine it has to do with um, probably a financial thing, but also I'm finding, and maybe this is me, like I'm getting lost in my own brain here, but one thing I've noticed a lot is uh, indie comics folks like yourself, or from the States even, will reach out to Italian, Brazilian, Argentinian creators to do all the art. Because one, I find that from what I've understood and have caught here and there, they charge a little bit less because the dollar conversion rate, it all pans out pretty good, which is fantastic. Because that means you can pay your artists what they're worth, you could pay them well, and get a great looking comic for an indie budget. My question, I guess, is, and my other thought is, as a result of this, I'm finding a lot of, I'll say, European, Spanish, um, that whole area is sort of artistically influencing comics.
Mhm.
So, as you mentioned, you've worked with these people before. Was there something about that art style that drew you as opposed to someone based here, or frankly, because of the way you write, like someone in Japan?
Um, yeah, no, it really just came out to who was available and drew my eye, right? Like, uh, I find most of the artists I work with on forums, like so either on there's a group on Facebook, connecting writers and artists, I think it's called,
Yep.
right? And then and then there's the comics collabs on Reddit. So I found Mattia on Reddit, and I found almost everybody else on Facebook, with a couple
cool.
exceptions, right? Roberto did the cover. I found on Facebook as well, but we met in person because he's nearby. But yeah, yeah. So most of the time, it's just that it's just they're the ones that are looking for work, and I love their style, and it just happens to always be somebody who isn't from Toronto most of the time, with
Yeah.
one exception, which is Roberto. But everyone else, yeah, it just happens to be from somewhere else. But it's
Yeah.
not necessarily me looking for a deal or anything like that. It's just they post their art. I say, you know what, I could do something with that, and then they just happen to be from all over the place, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool, right? Like it's folks from anywhere, right? Um, yeah, that just seem to find their way to me, which I very happy with. It's been working out
Oh,
great. So
for
yeah.
sure. Like it's interesting to me because doing what I do and doing it how long I've done it, I've seen sort of the trend of like I remember sort of when the first couple of people were like, "Oh yeah, we actually found this person in like Brazil or wherever," and I was like, "That's really cool." And that's when I heard about comic book collabs on Reddit, and that's kind of evolved, and that's becoming very normal now because the way that art from that chunk of the world for comics anyway works, it looks good. And what I'm finding
Mhm.
fascinating is now, around the same time, which is maybe why my brain wants to latch together, um, Mirka Andolfo, who is extremely talented and has done stuff for Image and is now with Distillery, as well as Stepan Sejic, who does like Sunstone, has done Aquaman and all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
They're all from that same chunk of the world. So for whatever reason,
Yeah.
comics have just like they're like, hey, this is where art lives right now for some reason. So just bring them all over. Um, and it just kind of all happened at once, and it was like interesting. That's all. It's a weird observation. So I like hearing how people connect to them. Um,
Hmm.
and I swear, if anyone ever is like, I'm a writer, I don't have an artist, how do I comic book collabs go?
Yep.
And I think yeah, and someone else has mentioned to me, and it might have been you, has mentioned that Facebook group where I'm like, fascinating. Um, so real quick, I'm gonna say this wrong. I'm so sorry. Brazil Pizza Party is giving us a clap and a shout. What's up, folks? So we've got about 13-ish minutes left. I've got a couple fun questions lined up so that the people can get to know you a little bit better. But before we get into that, I want to ask: is there anything else that we haven't yet touched on about Crazy Latte thing called love, um, that you want to tell people about, or that you find is like something you want to show off?
Yeah, I think the key thing is really just like I really don't want to give things away, but I feel
No
like you have to
spoilers.
read
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I feel like you have to read it to appreciate it, but it's there's a lot that happens in here that's more than just people in a coffee shop. It gets really wild, and what Mattia does with it, it's honestly like every day I got a page from him, I was blown away. Right, like it was just every single time. I don't think I gave him any notes. Like every single page was just like that's better than what I had in mind, man. Like let's go with it. I'll change what
Brutal.
I was changing dialogue to match what he did because it was just so much better. So like
Holy
you have
cow.
to see it. I'm not gonna spoil it, but you really have to see where this goes because it ends up being a lot of fun. Like it's just again, it's if you enjoy your not so great people getting into some interesting hijinks. I mean, this is the book for you. It's yeah, yeah. You have to see it for yourself. It gets better than what you see here. You can trust me when I say that.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm sure the folks out there will enjoy this. And as someone's already done, more people go back it. Again, the name of the book is scrolling across the screen now. Walk into Kickstarter, go check out Pesto Comics on Instagram, click those links, find it, back it. You will want this. And again, minimum buy and just get the digital copy anywhere in the world. Easy peasy. As soon as it's done, $8 Canadian, $5 US. It's a coffee, people. Uh, so, Adriano, a little bit of fun stuff then.
Mhm.
We've talked about sort of some of the inspiration behind the book. again without spoilers. So I guess one of the things that I wanted to ask was, and given how not like this the room you're in is, this is gonna be a real fun question, I think. I often find people who create comics read comics, and
Hmm.
generally speaking, those people are nerds, and nerds like to collect things, whether they're comic books, whether they're figures, whether they're taxonomy, whether they're stamps, whatever. Um, so one of my favorite questions is, of all the things in your collection, whatever it is that you collect, what is the thing that makes you like the most happy to have? Whether it's, and not necessarily the most expensive, not the rarest, but what's the thing that actually makes you the most happy when you see it?
Yeah, it's so I'm a TFC supporter. I go to a lot of soccer games at BMO. Yeah, I get a scarf every year. So I have too many scarves. Um, so the one from the championship year, I don't buy the scarves anymore because I get one like as a season ticket holder. They just send you them. But that year I
Oh,
had to,
cool.
yeah, it was 2 years of torture of waiting for this championship that we lost with against an opponent that got 0 shots on goal and we lost that game. So that getting that championship scarf, it ended in penalty kicks. So
Oh,
so that's
okay.
how they beat us in 2016. So 2017, we finally did it. We beat them decisively, and yeah. So I got that scarf. I got the championship scarf. I look at that thing, and it didn't cost much. It was $20 or whatever it was at the time, and I pull it out of the closet. I'm like, yeah, this is a good day. It was a good year, really.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah, it means a lot.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cold. It was very cold, but it was totally worth it. Going to a game in December in Toronto is it's a
Oh.
sacrifice, but well
And
worth it. I'd do it again.
and like you said, it's TFC, that that is soccer or European football, correct?
Correct, correct. Yeah, so they play over here at the exhibition at BMO Field, and yeah, I'm there every week. Yeah, if you're a
Isn't
fan, you can probably find me.
isn't BMO Field open?
Yep.
Like on the highway, I've driven by and seen that's a December game with an open field.
Yeah, it was December
Oh,
9th. Wide
oh.
open. Yeah, minus 20 something with the wind off the lake. Yeah. We did it 2 years in a row. The first time was a loss. So first one hurt a lot more than the second one.
Oh my god, that is so much.
Yeah.
Well, that is so cool. And Adriano, I guess another question I'll ask. You sort of mentioned a couple of inspirations here and there and things that you've enjoyed. One thing that I like to ask to help give people a shout out here and there. Um, what is it currently that you're reading and enjoying? Whether it's a comic, a book, audio book, whatever. Yeah, what's keeping your brain happy?
Yeah, so how do I say this? So I got something coming up. I got something else coming up. I'll just say it. It's not a secret. I have a short story collection I'm putting together. Um, and yeah, so the reason I was putting that together is because I like to read. Like I mentioned, I got so many like short story magazines that I have and I collect. So Ellery Queen is a regular like mystery magazine I like to read, or Asimov is another one. They're all Dell magazines, so they're all but they're short
Oh,
stories and novellas and all that kind of stuff. So reading those, I wasn't getting exactly what I want. I'd get the odd story out of them, like out of a whole magazine, I'm getting two or three that I'm like, that's what I wanted. So I figured,
huh.
I'll put one of my own together. So I think that's the next project I'm working on. A call for entries is open. People are sending me stories. So really, that's what I've been reading is a bunch of stories from
Oh,
unpublished
cool.
authors. And yeah, some of them have been amazing. I think I got enough to put about 30% of the book together already. Um, those people don't know yet because I'm sending them emails as we speak to
Oh,
give them the acceptance and that. But yeah, like so it's just been a bunch of unpublished folks that but at least these stories are unpublished. So I'm getting my first look at them before anybody else, which has been
oh my
amazing because
god.
yeah, like some of the stuff I'm getting, and I'm saying this is too good for me. I mean, this should be published elsewhere. So yeah, that's been really cool. Just seeing all the creativity out there from folks that, I mean, yeah, there's just I'm amazed. I'm amazed at what some people are able to do with even just limited space. You know, for me, the shorter the better. My attention span might be minimal or that, but I find when when you can really tell a story with you know minimal space, like I'm blown away every time. So yeah, I've just been reading some really great stories by people, and yeah, I'm loving it.
Okay, so now I have to ask the follow-up questions here. Um, so just to be clear, so you're putting together your own, um, specifically mysteries, correct?
So actually, the genre is open. It's called Big Smoke Pulp, and yeah, it's a genre. It's bigsmokepulp.com if you're curious or you want to submit something. Um,
Pulp.
Yeah, and it's open to genre, so I don't care what kind of stories they are. I've had sci-fi, I've had horror, I've had westerns, I've had mysteries, all kinds. I'm still waiting on romance. I keep bugging people to send me romance stories. I'm curious, uh, but yeah, any kind of genre as long as it's pulp. Like I want to read something that is very quick and plot driven. And again, if you've read my comics, you know my style, which is get to the point, right? Get to the point and don't let me go until we get to the end, right? Like I want to be thrilled from beginning to end. So a lot of people have answered that call already. We're at over 100 entries thus far, and like I said, yeah, about 30% of the book's worth is filled, and it's going to be a nice thick book. So a lot of stories already that I couldn't let go of. Yeah, there you go. There's
This is the one, right?
this is the one. This is me. So you can see genre agnostic there. Whatever you're interested in, send it. Yeah, doing it's all paid. So if you send the story, I like it, I give you money in return. It says non-paying. That's incorrect, but
Oh,
we'll get
good to
that
know.
fixed.
Cool, even better.
Yeah, it's paying, but we'll get that corrected on that page. But yeah, so if you have short stories in you, send them my way because I'm reading them now, so we can put this together. And goal is to throw it on Kickstarter in the fall. But yeah, so
Huh.
non-comic project
So
for in
written
between comic
prose,
projects. Yeah, yeah, because there's definitely more coming comic wise, but I want to give the artists the time to do their thing. So and I idle hands and all that. So I got another project together with a bunch of other folks.
awesome. So I mean, who knows? I've been dabbling in writing, so I might send you something.
Send
But
it on
for
by,
the
yeah.
for the folks out there who are into creativity but maybe not making comics, you can do a flash, which is 100 to 1,000 words, or a short story, 1,000 to 5,000 words. Um, Adriano, how tight are you on it? If it's 1,003 words, is that okay, or does it have to be? Or sorry, you know,
5003 or yeah,
three.
I'm not. I won't. Yeah, I won't be that strict. If you send me a 7,500 word story, I might not.
Little bit
Um,
much, yeah.
and actually, so the original cap was 7,500, and everybody was sending me those, and I didn't find too many that I was into that were kind of fitting the
Interesting.
description. So I lowered it to really make the point that like no, we need this to. I want it to like move. I want it to be pacey. I don't need to know all the backstory of everyone ever. I want to be thrilled. I want to know where we're headed, but not know where we're headed. Right? I want you to keep me guessing right to the end. That I have to, I have to finish it right there. That's what I was looking for. So yeah, like I said, a lot of people have come with some amazing stories so far. So yeah, this has been what I'm reading. Yeah, I
That's
love my
so
comics. I
cool.
love everything else, but this has been it, which has been it's been a really cool experience because, like I said, stuff that I have no idea how it hasn't been published elsewhere. So
Huh.
I'm happy to do it to get some of these stories out there because they really should be read by more than just me, right? So that'll happen soon.
That is Adriano, that is so cool. Um, well, you heard it here, folks. Uh, go to the grinder and then Big Smoke Pulp, or if you just Google Big Smoke Pulp, you will find it. It's real easy. And yeah, you can send some creative writing on over to Adriano. to be published in I'm assuming, a Kickstarter fashion.
Yeah, so we'll do Kickstarter. It's my platform. It's what I'm used to. So we'll do the Kickstarter, and then we'll see how we get that out to more folks so that it can get more widely read. Because there's definitely better platforms for your prose, like Amazon, etc., Kobo, Canadian.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll definitely do our best to get it read. But yeah, we'll do the Kickstarter so we can get some nice hard copies out there so people can get it in their hands and read it too, right? But yeah.
Absolutely dig it. Well, that's super cool. That being said, we have hit the hour. So just to close out the show, Adriano, one last time for me, let the folks know what is their sort of minimum buy-in to get a digital and a physical copy of Crazy Latte Thing Called Love, which again, oh, you've got even more backers now. Fantastic. So people, get in on this. Clearly, it is going to work. Get some cool books. Adriano, take it away, buddy.
Right on. So yeah, so if you want to read Crazy Latte Thing Called Love, $8. That's all we're asking. $8 Canadian. So if you're from south of the border listening to this, it's probably around $5, right, for you to get the copy digitally. If you want it in your hands, I will ship it to you all in. It's $22 Canadian for the main cover, and then up from there for the variants. We got for 24 and 26, depending on which one you pick. But that's the price you pay. $22 to $26. I'm shipping it to you. That goes all the way up through the bundles. So the price you see is the price you pay. I'm sending it to you.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And then, Adriano, one last question I like to ask. Who is it that you think we should have on the show next?
Yeah, so I kept saying his name today, so I'll say it again. Roberto Villacava. He's doing amazing work. Yeah, and he's got even more coming right at, he's got a campaign that has 3 days left now, and he's got even more coming after that. So yeah, definitely, talk to him because he's churning out amazing work. I'm a huge fan myself. So he's a good friend, but yeah, I'm a fan.
Awesome. Well, I will do. And Adriano, absolutely, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today. It was a blast talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. This was great.
For sure. And whatever you're doing next, let me know. And for the folks at home, like the video, comment down below what you think of Adriano, what you thought of Crazy Latte Thing Called Love. If you've read Stay Cool, what you thought of that. If you've read Adriano's other book, check that out. And then, of course, go and submit to him some really cool, short, concise, awesome fiction. And, of course, subscribe for more. And we'll see you next time.
Golden age to present, digest to oversize. Never miss new comic day. Yeah, no surprise. So where's my no prize? Check the letter columns. Can't find issue 2? Nah, collector problems, cliffhangers, mysteries. You need answers. When did